What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all so you get notified soon as new content drops on the channel. So let's talk about it. Oleksander Usyk stops Daniel Dubois, Dynamite Daniel Dubois, in 9 rounds, and that just happened last night. It was a clear win for Usyk, but it wasn't without controversy. So let's talk about the fight briefly. So Usyk starts the fight a lot faster than he normally does, comes out, sort of stamps his authority on the fight. It was a bit of a jabbing match in the beginning, with Oleksander Usyk sort of asserting his dominant right hand over Dubois. Both men trying to sort of set up the jab, with Usyk having that bit more success. For me, at least in my book, and I think most people who watched it, Usyk sort of swept the first 3 rounds. He outboxed Daniel Dubois all through the first 3, and Dubois sort of began to come into it in the 4th round. Now, Dubois did have his moments in the first 3, but for me personally, it wasn't quite enough. And then this is where the controversy happened. Around 30 seconds into the 5th round, Daniel Dubois done what he was supposed to do, and that was he went downstairs. And that was one of the things that I was talking about in my preview of this fight, and I think there's a few others who've said similar things. And that was, when you're dealing with a guy like Oleksander Usyk, you're dealing with a superior boxer, a guy with impeccable boxing skills, a guy with great lateral movement, head movement, and most importantly, very fast feet. What you do with a guy like that is you have to go downstairs. You have to go to his body and sort of make him feel it down there, and try and sort of slow him down, because otherwise he can just sort of run away with the fight. And Dubois, for me, landed a perfect right hook to the body. Looking on the replays, it was a blow that was sort of borderline. Roughly, from what I've seen, the footage I've seen and what was on the replay, it looked to land on the belt line. But Oleksander Usyk, he went down reeling in pain, rolling all over the canvas. And prior to this, Oleksander Usyk had been sort of tapping his belt line and complaining for low blows at the, during the first, I want to say 4 rounds. He was complaining about low blows, and the referee did sort of warn Daniel Dubois. And the referee sort of took Usyk's side big time after this shot, and he counted it as a low blow, but he called it an accidental low blow, an accidental foul. So that was a big controversy in this fight, because essentially, to me, and to quite a few who have watched this after and watching at the time, it was a blow that was sort of should have counted as a knockdown for me, because I think it was on the belt line. It wasn't anywhere near the sort of private parts. It was just on the belt line. So for me, that was a knockdown, and I think there's a lot of people saying sort of the same thing. So that was a controversy that happened, and Usyk, as is usual, he was given the time to recover, and you get 5 minutes to recover in a boxing match when you get hit low or intentional or accidental or whatever. So he got his 5 minutes, and he really milked the 5 minutes and sort of walked around a bit. He was sitting down for quite a lot of these 5 minutes, and then he gets up. And this is where I think Daniel Dubois sort of made a bit of a mistake, because he didn't really jump on Oleksander Usyk enough after this moment. And I think, essentially, once you've hurt a guy to the body, admittedly, yes, it's hard to focus once you've got this 5-minute break. But I think what he really needed to do was sort of jump on Oleksander Usyk that bit more. And he essentially what happened was it was the other way round. And Usyk sort of jumped on Dubois. Usyk began to sort of up the pace. He began to adapt. He began to adjust, landing plenty of combinations on Daniel Dubois. And although Dubois was able to hurt Usyk at times in this fight, the problem was he wouldn't follow up with his attacks. He would hurt him with sort of 1 shot or 2 shots, and then he wouldn't sort of follow up and jump on him. whereas Usyk was hurting Dubois and then landing more punches. So Usyk was sort of out punching, out fighting, and outboxing Daniel Dubois through this fight. Dubois got knocked down in the eighth round as we went through, and you could see that Usyk was sort of getting stronger throughout this fight. And then it all ended in the ninth round where Dubois again went down off of a combination, ended all with a left hand, and that's all she wrote pretty much. The shot, some of the shots he went down with, I think that the final right looked pretty much like a jab that he went down off. He did come back up at about the count of 9.5 going to 10, but you could tell Dubois looked quite dejected, and he looked quite resigned. He didn't look, he didn't sort of protest when the fight was ended, when the referee called it off. He seemed quite, sort of dejected and ready to go. And funnily enough, after the fight, Usyk interestingly sort of told the referee off, as okay, he won it clearly by the KO, but the referee was a bit controversial because he was, during the 5 minutes, he was constantly telling Usyk, take your time, you've got enough time, do you want to take more time? And he was sort of clearly a biased official, but ultimately Usyk's punches are what ended the fight. So yeah, that was the end of the story there. So Dubois had a fantastic moment in the fifth. That moment was sort of taken away from him. There are many people sort of saying this is a robbery, and I can understand that, because if that right hand to the body was counted and was a knockdown, this would have been an entirely different fight. I think, would Usyk have gotten up? I get the feeling he probably would have gotten up, and if he did get up, he might have gone down again if Dubois jumped on him. But again, this is all ifs, ands, buts, and maybes, because what happened was it was counted as a low blow, and the fight went on, and it was there to be won, but Usyk sort of proved to be the better man on the night. So that's it from me. A very controversial win by Oleksander Usyk, and I think Daniel Dubois was hard done by with the low blow decision, but also you could argue that he didn't really jump on Oleksander Usyk when he could have, and perhaps he could have let his hands go that bit more and just been a bit more gung-ho, a bit more, sort of roadman science, as they call it, or a bit more. He could have just gone in there and tried to finish him when he did hurt him at times. But there you go, that's what happened. And let me know your thoughts about this, about the controversy, and about the result of the fight in the comment section below. Until next time, it's MKO Pugilism, over and out. Catch you on the next one.